Good evening. Welcome to the July 8th, 2021 Kern County Planning Commission meeting. We will start with roll call.
Mr. Ashley? Mr. Judge?
Here.
Mr. McGivney?
Here.
Ms. Skidmore?
Here.
Mr. Sprague? Mr. Van Wyck?
Here.
Ms. Simon?
Here.
Ms. Slayton?
Here.
As part of item B, commission member announcements or reports, I'd like to read the following statement. Kern County Planning Commission meetings resume in person at full capacity starting this evening. The Kern County Planning Commission meetings in the board chambers have resumed in-person attendance at full capacity. Public comment protocols put in place curing the COVID-19 pandemic have been lifted. Persons wishing to address the commission on a specific agenda item or provide general public comment under public presentations are invited to attend the meeting to provide their comments in person. Emailed comments to planningcommissioncomment@kerncounty.com are provided to all commission members and applicable staff for review and consideration by the commission prior to taking action on any matters listed on the agenda and are incorporated into the official record of the hearing. Please specify which agenda item your comments relate to. Written correspondence for distribution to the commission can also be mailed to the Planning and Natural Resources Department at 2700 M Street, Suite 100, Bakersfield, California, 93301. Any questions concerning the public comment process should be directed to the Commission's Clerk of the Communications, Carrie Cowling, at 661-862-8647. Are there any other Commission member announcements or reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to item C, approval of minutes from June 24th, 2021.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 24, 2021 as written. Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Judge and a second from Commissioner McGivney. All ayes?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? None. Motion passed. Item D, cases withdrawn or requests for continuance. We have none this evening. Item E, we have one consent item. Item number 2, Wonderful Nut Orchards LLC, and I will pass this over to Ms. Simon.
Thank you, Chairwoman Skidmore. It is true, this is the only case on consent tonight. This is the alteration of the boundaries of Agricultural Preserve Number 7. This alteration is the inclusion of approximately 797 acres within the boundaries of Agricultural Preserve Number 7 into the Williamson Act contract. The location of the proposal is at the southeast corner of Peterson Road and Bell Road in the Shafter area. Staff recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend the Board of Supervisors approve inclusion of approximately 797.12 acres into the boundaries of Agricultural Preserve Number 7 as requested and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolution. That concludes the consent agenda for this evening.
Do we have any members of the public who would like to remove the item from consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have any commission members that would like to remove the item from the consent agenda?
No.
Seeing none, I will ask for a motion on the consent agenda item.
Madam Chair, I'll put a motion to approve consent item number 2 as read into the record. Second.
We have a motion and a second. We will vote on screen.
3 ayes, 2 absent.
Thank you. There's no notice of right to appeal for this item. We are on to item F, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for members desiring to address this commission on any matter not on the agenda over which the commission has jurisdiction. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Is there anyone? Seeing none, we will move on to item G, public hearings. This is a continued case number 1, and I will pass this over to Ms. Slayton.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I have here with me tonight Mr. Terrence Smalls. He is the supervising planner for this project that we are presenting before you tonight. And that project is the Raceway 2.0 solar project by AES, formerly known as S-Power Development. This case was originally scheduled to be considered on May 27th, but continued to tonight's hearing to allow staff sufficient time to prepare and distribute the required response to comments on the environmental impact report. This project is titled Raceway 2.0 Solar because it's a revision of the original Raceway Solar project that was proposed in 2018. The 2018 Raceway Solar project proposal included development of approximately 400 megawatts of renewable energy on 7 separate solar sites, encompassing 1,851 acres of land. At that time, several community members were opposed to the design of the Raceway Solar project as described in that 2018 Notice of Preparation. The applicant then took it upon themselves to revise the proposal by removing more than 500 acres of the project area and recirculated a notice of preparation in 2020 with the revised design. The 2020 project, as described in the notice of preparation, final EIR, and public notice for tonight's hearing included the development of approximately 291 megawatts of renewable energy on 6 separate solar sites, encompassing 1,330 acres of land, and has been titled Raceway 2.0 Solar. Since the circulation of the final EIR and notice of tonight's hearing, the applicant has determined to remove another 80 acres by formally withdrawing applications for Site 6. Therefore, the project for consideration by your commission tonight includes the development of approximately 270 megawatts of renewable energy with approximately 80 megawatt hours of energy storage on 5 separate solar sites encompassing 1,251 acres of privately owned land west of the unincorporated community of Rosamond within the boundaries of the Willow Springs Specific Plan. I would also like to bring to your attention that the specific plan amendment to the circulation element of the Willow Springs Specific Plan within Site 1 was also determined not to be necessary, so that specific plan amendment, case number 34, map 231, as noticed for tonight's hearing, has also been withdrawn. Therefore, I would like to lay out for you exactly what's being heard before your commission tonight for consideration. That is the Raceway 2.0 Solar Site 1, specific plan amendment number 33, map number 231, zone change case number 154, map 231, and conditional use permit number 116, map 231. Raceway 2.0 Solar Site 2 includes the specific plan amendment number 35, map number 231, zone change case number 155, map 231, conditional use permit number 117, map number 231, and specific plan amendment number 36, map number 231. The Raceway 2.0 Solar Site 3 includes specific plan amendment number 37, map number 231, zone change case number 156, map number 231, conditional use permit number 118, map 231, and specific plan amendment number 38, map number 231. The Raceway 2.0 Solar Site 4 includes conditional use permit number 119, map 231, conditional use permit number 4, map number 23120, specific plan amendment number 39, map 231, specific plan amendment number 3, map number 23120, as well as a cancellation of Williamson Act contract number 20-06 in map numbers 231 and 231-20. Lastly, the Raceway 2.0 Solar Site 5 includes specific plan amendments number 5, map number 23121, specific plan amendment number 5, map 23128, zone change case number 3, map 23121, zone change case map 3, map 23128, CUP 3, map 23121, CUP 7, map 23128, specific plan amendment 6, map number 23121, and specific plan amendment number 6, map 23128. I detailed those out for you because they are slightly different than what was noticed on tonight's hearing notice, and so I just wanted to make clear that those are the only actions that are being heard for your consideration tonight. So as shown on this aerial map, the project consists of 5 individual non-contiguous facilities totaling approximately 1,251 acres of privately owned land across 23 separate parcels. A listing of the parcels included in this project is on page 4 of your staff report. 2 of the project's parcels are subject to a Williamson Act land use contract for which a notice of non-renewal was filed earlier this year and is set to expire in 2030. The site is currently designated as prime farmland, grazing land, vacant or disturbed, rural residential, and non-agricultural or natural vegetation by the Department of Conservation. However, because the project area designated as prime farmland has not been used for irrigated agriculture in the past 10 years, primarily as a result of scarcity of water as part of the adjudication, it does not meet the criteria for prime farmland and will not be categorized as such on updated maps by the Department of Conservation. Residential dwellings are scattered around the perimeter of the project site and are located at various distances from the project boundary. While there are 7 residences located within 1,000 feet of the exterior project site boundary or proposed gen-tie lines, not all are habitable or occupied with residents. So in summary, the action before your commissions tonight include 5 specific plan amendments to the Willow Springs specific plan to remove the 4.4 comprehensive planning area map code designation, 5 zone change cases to change base zoning from the E estate to A exclusive agricultural zone classifications, 7 conditional use permits to allow for the construction and operation of the 5 separate solar photovoltaic electrical generating facilities, and 6 specific plan amendments to the circulation element of the Willow Springs specific plan to eliminate section and midsection line road reservations, which will no longer be necessary with implementation of the proposed project. The applicant has requested a cancellation of a Williamson Act land use contract as currently encumbers 318 acres of the project site within Site 4. This contract was recorded in 1968 by the property owners, Albert and Helen Valduizen. A notice of non-renewal was filed in 2021, as I previously stated, and is set to expire in 2030. Also, as part of the overall project, vacations of existing public access easements are being proposed. However, your commission does not have jurisdiction over public access easements, so no action or recommendation is required from your commission at this time. A complete listing of the requested actions that I read out to you have been provided to your commission on pages 7 and 8 of your staff report. If approved, the project would include authorization to construct the 5 commercial solar photovoltaic power generating facilities of varying size and production capacity for a total of approximately 270 megawatts and associated infrastructure. No operations and maintenance facilities are proposed to be constructed on site. The on-site construction workforce for the project is expected to peak at 800 individuals. However, the average daily workforce is expected to be between 200 and 600 individuals on site during the 10 to 12-month construction period. The project's construction water demand is estimated to be 500 acre-feet over the 10 to 12-month construction period, and about 30 acre-feet per year for operations after that, which includes fire protection and solar panel washing. That water is to be obtained from the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency, known as AVEC, and then transported to the site by truck. An EIR was prepared for this project in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines and circulated for a 45-day public review period. Staff received 8 written comment letters from individuals or agencies during that 45-day public review period. As required by CEQA, responses to these comments were prepared by staff and distributed to you at least 10 days prior to consideration of this project before your commission tonight. A summary of those comments and responses are included on pages 22 through 30 of your staff report. An additional 12 letters were received after the 45-day comment period. These have been attached to your staff report and summarized along with staff responses on pages 31 through 35. We also received 5 letters of support for the project, and those have also been provided as attachments to your staff report tonight. The final EIR consists of 5 volumes, which have been provided to you and posted on the Planning Department's website. Pages 10 through 22 of your staff report provide a summary of the environmental determinations included within that final EIR. It contains 53 mitigation measures to reduce project and cumulative impacts associated with this project. The proposed mitigation measure monitoring program, listing all of the required mitigation measures, has been attached to your staff report as Exhibit C for review. While most of the project impacts can be reduced to less than significant levels with implementation of the required mitigation measures, staff has determined that implementation of the project would result in significant and unavoidable project and cumulative impacts to aesthetics, project and cumulative impacts to agricultural resources, cumulative impacts to air quality associated with temporary construction activities, cumulative impacts to biological resources for loss of foraging and nesting habitat, project impacts related to noise associated with temporary construction activities, and cumulative impacts to wildfire due to the project's rural location and limited infrastructure. The 53 proposed mitigation measures in the program were identified to reduce significant impacts to the extent feasible. While there is no feasible mitigation available to reduce impacts related to the cancellation of a Williamson Act land use contract, I would like to highlight some of the other mitigation measures for resource areas determined to have a significant impact. Aesthetic mitigation measures have been incorporated to reduce the impacts of trash and debris on site by implementation of a maintenance, trash abatement, and pest management program. Also, mitigation has been incorporated that would soften the visual impacts of the project by requiring natural vegetation remain undisturbed unless mowing is necessary for placement of project facilities. View screening material where the project borders residential uses, and requiring all project facilities have a non-glossy finish and color that will blend with the natural landscape. Additional mitigation is required that will reduce impacts from light, glare, and reflective equipment. Several air quality mitigation measures will be required, such as compliance with the rules and regulations set forth by the East Kern Air Pollution Control District, compliance measures during construction and operation to control fugitive dust, including a comprehensive grading plan that requires suppression of areas to be disturbed, as well as phased grading when possible to reduce fugitive dust, adherence to diesel emission reduction measures during construction, and a construction coordinator who will ensure proper noticing and respond to complaints during construction. Some biological mitigation measures include monitoring by a qualified biologist and implementation of an environmental awareness training and education program for construction workers at the site, the limitation of disturbance area to the extent feasible, pre-construction surveys for both wildlife and plants, implementation of general avoidance and protection measures, and measures to be taken if special status species are observed, as well as specific plans for species known to occupy the project area, such as the Swainson's hawk. Noise mitigation measures are in place to ensure construction and decommissioning activities are conducted in compliance with the county's noise control ordinance and protects noise-sensitive receptors. Notification to all residences within 1,000 feet of the project site of any on-site construction activities is to be provided, and a sign posted at the site which includes the same details as the notification. A noise disturbance coordinator is required to be established who will be responsible for responding to any construction noise complaints. Additionally, mitigation requires the project be designed to ensure operational noise levels at nearby sensitive areas would not exceed the applicable Willow Springs specific plan or county noise standards. As I mentioned earlier, we did receive 8 comment letters during the circulation of the environmental document. And again, a summary of those comments and responses are included on pages 22 through 30 of your staff report. We also received 12 comments after that 45-day public review period. One was from the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council. I'm going to call them RMAC from here on, as well as 11 letters from the individual community members expressing opposition to the proposed project for various reasons. In summary, the RMAC assert that the project will decrease property values in the vicinity of the project, create clouds of fugitive dust, hamper the growth of the community, and limit access from one side of the community to the other. Staff notes that creation of dust is specifically addressed and will be controlled through mitigation measures that I already described, as well as strict permit and enforcement actions of the East Kern Air Pollution Control District. There are no clouds of dust being produced by the thousands of acres of existing solar projects, and they are constantly and consistently monitored and managed by the Air Pollution District. Dust is produced in large quantities by the desert and has increased due to the lack of agricultural planting limited in the area now by the water adjudication. These cumulative impacts have been fully discussed and analyzed in the final EIR, and appropriate mitigation has been applied. Construction activities as they build the project can cause dust, and extensive mitigation has also been imposed. The site is currently vacant and has large expanses of unstabilized soil which will provide dust without the project. And last, there is no evidence in the record that being located next to a large-scale solar project, which has no traffic or noise issues, decreases property values. The community members that provided comment all oppose the project for its potential impacts on the visual characteristics of the surrounding area, desert plants and animals, potential increase in fire risk, potential increase to impacts associated with valley fever and other health risks due to soil disturbance, groundwater, transportation, and residential uses being surrounded by the solar development. Impacts to aesthetics have been fully discussed in the final EIR and conclude that despite implementation of the mitigation measures previously described, the project would result in a significant impact to visual character because the conversion of thousands of acres in a presently rural desert area to solar production cannot be mitigated to a degree where impacts are no longer significant. Regarding comments on the biological resources of the project site, as previously stated, the project by itself would not result in a significant impact to any species identified as candidate, sensitive, or special status with implementation of the mitigation measures described. Any risks associated with increased fire are disclosed in the final EIR, hazards and hazardous material section, and mitigated by implementing a fire safety plan to be reviewed and approved by the Kern County Fire Department. The purpose of the fire safety plan would be to eliminate causes of fire, prevent loss of life and property by fire, and to comply with county fire protection standards for solar facilities, as well as OSHA standards of fire prevention, and identify practices to reduce the potential for fire and extinguishment techniques if a fire were to occur. While it is true that construction of the proposed project has the potential to generate fugitive dust and suspend valley fever spores or other harmful pollutants, the air quality analysis and health risk assessment prepared for the project demonstrate that the projected fugitive dust emissions fall below the East Kern Air District adopted thresholds. Once operational, the project fugitive dust emissions would be limited to maintenance activities and a small number of employee vehicle trips that would fall well below those adopted thresholds. I again note that mitigation measures have been incorporated into this project that will reduce fugitive dust emissions and other criteria air pollutants, and therefore reduce impacts of valley fever and other health effects associated with the project. Specifically, mitigation measures 4.3-1 through 4.3-5 of the final EIR require diesel emission reduction measures such as newer engines, limited equipment idling times, use of diesel particulate filters, and the use of electric power sources when feasible, implementation of the fugitive dust control plan, which includes comprehensive grading and requiring suppression of areas to be disturbed, as well as phased grading when possible, and establishing a public complaint protocol for excessive dust generation. Specific measures to minimize exposure to potential valley fever containing dust also include spraying graded areas with water to suppress dust, phasing those earth-moving activities where possible, and cleaning equipment of dust before it's moved off-site to minimize the amount of dust that leaves the site. Regarding the project's impact on groundwater, the project would source its water supply from the AVEC, which operates 6 groundwater wells within the project site. AVEC is the water wholesaler for the region that serves water to customers within its service area and has stated that sufficient water exists within its system to supply water for the proposed project. Therefore, while the project would require the use of groundwater for project construction and operations, an existing supply has been verified as being sufficient to serve the project. Concerns associated with transportation as raised by the comments received are fully disclosed and or mitigated for within the final EIR and summarized in staff's response within the staff report. Furthermore, mitigation is proposed that requires the project operator submit pre- and post-construction video logs and inspection reports of roadway conditions for roads used during construction to the Kern County Public Works Department, and they being the project operator, be responsible to repair any damage due to the project-related activities to both county and non-county maintained roads. In response to concerns regarding residential uses being surrounded by the solar development, we note that the project is approximately 5.5 miles west of the community of Rosamond and over 7 miles to the central shopping and educational area of the community. The surrounding area is primarily open desert, permitted solar facilities, or land in ag production. There are scattered residents surrounding the project area. However, the project is not anticipated to physically divide or restrict access to Rosamond or any other community. Staff appreciates the comments submitted, and we believe the proposed project has been sufficiently mitigated for and conditioned to ensure compatibility with the adjacent and surrounding land. We've reviewed the project in its entirety. and have determined it's consistent with the California Renewable Portfolio Standard that requires investor-owned utilities increase the sale of electricity produced by renewable energy sources to 60% by the year 2030 and 100% by 2045. The project is consistent with the adopted goals of the county to develop renewable energy from wind and solar facilities. The project will allow for the usage of existing infrastructure due to its close proximity to commercial transmission facilities, specifically off-site substation and gen-tie lines associated with previously permitted solar projects. And it's the opinion of staff that the project site is in a location favorable to the development of the solar project as available access exists and there's a lack of dense urban development. The project is consistent with the goals and policies of the Kern County General Plan as well as the Willow Springs Specific Plan, and we believe that your commission can make all of the required findings necessary to approve the conditional use permits. So in closing, in remembering the requests that have been withdrawn before tonight's hearing, which I won't read all of them again, the department's recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend the Board of Supervisors certify the environmental impact report, adopt the Section 15091 findings of fact and Section 15093 statement of overriding considerations, adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approve specific plan amendments as recommended by staff, enact ordinances and adopt resolutions approving zone changes as recommended by staff, approve conditional use permits subject to conditions as recommended by staff, approve cancellation of the Williamson Act land use contract subject to payment of penalty fees, direct the clerk of the board to issue a tentative certificate of cancellation subject to payment of penalty fees and compliance with all other conditions contained in the tentative certificate of cancellation, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolutions. That completes my portion of the presentation. I do see that the project proponents are out in the audience, and I believe they have a presentation they'd like to offer as well.
Great, so I will ask that the project applicant come forward and continue with your presentation. Please state your full name for the record as well.
Dallas Pugh. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dallas Pugh. I'm the permitting manager for AES assigned to the Raceway 2.0 solar project. Over the last 2 years, I've been working closely with Lorelei, Craig, Terrence, and Katrina on the environmental impact report. So I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank staff very much for all their help with this project, not only with the technical aspect and the environmental analysis, but also with the public outreach. They've kind of been our eyes and ears to the community's concerns and really relayed those to us so we can address them correctly. So thank you both very much. There was a PowerPoint presentation. Is that coming up?
It's on the presentation computer.
No problem. It's a tough act to follow, Katrina, by the way. Nice job. There we go. Okay. Okay, next slide. So before we dive into the project details, I just wanted to give a quick overview of who we are as AES. I know that's kind of a new name in the county as far as I'm concerned, but we used to be S-Power, which is the company that is probably a little bit more familiar to folks here in Kern County. Next slide. So as of January 4th, 2021, S-Power has become part of the AES Clean Energy Development business. AES has been a joint owner of S-Power since 2017. However, with the announcement of our expanded partnership, we formed one of the leading renewable energy platforms in the United States, allowing us to work better together with our customers to create a carbon-free environment that our world really needs. And as kind of stated before, S-Power has had a really long-standing relationship with Kern County. So I'm here to let everybody know we really are the same team, just under a new and more expansive name. And our contributions to Kern will continue under that new AES mantle. Next slide. Quick overview of AES's portfolio. So from a global perspective, we're located on 4 continents and 14 countries, And currently we have over 30,000 megawatts in operation with an additional 7,000 either under construction or with signed PPAs. Here in the US, we have nearly 400 renewable energy projects operating in 20 states with an additional 4 gigawatts of new power purchase agreements targeted for 2021. So we've set our goals pretty high. But currently, we have over 3,500 megawatts in operation, and we have an additional 2,300 megawatts currently either signed in power purchase agreements or under construction. Next slide. A quick graphic that shows AES's clean energy distribution across the United States. As you can see, we have a diversity of project facilities and combinations of technology really at each of our facilities across the states. If you look down there at the bottom of the slide, we have solar facilities, solar plus storage, solar wind and storage, just wind, solar wind. So depending on where you are in the country and the resources that are available, AES could really tailor the project to the existing conditions and optimize the results for both our customers and the communities that we are developing in, especially with environmental constraints. Next slide. We really are leaders in innovation. AES has won 7 US Edition awards, which is the highest honor given in the electric power industry. This is the most awarded to any electric energy company recently in history. And kind of going back to that last slide where AES can really tailor tailor the facilities to the existing conditions, we value creation through innovation. We're very customer centric. We offer leading technologies in terms of solar and wind, and we have engineering innovation to really get the facilities around the environmental and community needs. We're also a leader in energy storage, which is actually the new frontier in renewable energy. We are globally #1 through our battery storage manufacturer, Fluence. We have the longest history in the industry, and we are the leader in that solar storage combination or coupling that you saw in the last slide. Next slide. So bringing it home here to Kern County, AES, formerly S-Power, this is just a quick snapshot of our presence in the county. You can see that we currently have about 250 megawatts of operating solar projects in the county. So we've worked with the county quite a bit. Next slide. The next project in that queue, as everybody I'm sure is aware by now, is the Raceway 2.0 solar project. It's up to 271 megawatts over 1,250 acres, located near the community of Rosamond. Our interconnection is a 230 kilovolt gen tie from the project site down 110th Street West to the existing Big Sky North substation in the city of Lancaster. We do have an off-taker with a power purchase agreement. They are East Bay Clean Energy with a commercial online date of December of next year. So that means we would have to start construction in January of next year in order to meet that deadline. Next slide. And as Katrina pointed out, the Raceway project has really evolved quite a bit since it was first introduced to the public in 2018. The image on the left is the original project design. You can see all colored parcels there fell within the original project footprint. But through community outreach, through the environmental impact report process, we really pulled as far west as possible to avoid not only residences, that was voiced, by the way, through our outreach to the public and through staff input. But also it was pulled back because we found some sensitive biological resources during the EIR process, such as the Swainson's hawk nest, burrowing owl, and alkali Mariposa lily. And I know that's a really small graphic up there, I apologize. You can kind of see I've dropped a couple of green pins where these resources fall relative to the original project footprint versus the new one. And you could really see how we pulled back from the resources as much as possible to conserve them while still addressing the community's concerns of pulling the solar panels back from the existing residences. So in total, I think we've dropped about 820 acres, maybe a little bit less than that. But additionally, I wanted to point out Site 1, which is indicated there in blue. We're working diligently with our engineering team to see how we can get all infrastructure on that parcel underground. And the reason being that Swainson's hawk nest is right there next to the boundary of that. So we really want to try to conserve as much of the foraging habitat underneath that active nest as possible. So construction would occur outside of the nesting season, so by the time the hawks came back, construction would be done and the area directly underneath the nest would be open for foraging small mammals and insects. Lastly, Katrina touched on it a little bit, but we reduced and removed a lot of the public roadway vacations. I think I'm getting that term wrong, but the roadway eliminations, we've reduced those greatly to help facilitate traffic in and around the project site and kind of help allow for future development of Rosamond as well. Next slide. So as previously stated, S-Power had a long-standing relationship with Kern, and under the new AES mantle, we intend to continue our partnership through contributions to local communities. AES prides itself on being a good, quiet, and responsible neighbor. It is our job to take all necessary measures to ensure strong community relationships. Next slide. We've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to schools, charities, community groups like local hospitals, community beautification, Little League, Sheriff's Department, just to name a few. You can see that the list is pretty exhaustive there, and that's not where our efforts stop. We'll continue to contribute to the local communities as much as possible. Touch really quickly on the socioeconomic benefits that we anticipate from the project. Job creation, we anticipate over 200 people will actually be employed, including construction jobs and subcontractor work to local businesses. That number may be a little bit higher. We did do a conservative estimate in the environmental impact report just to have that conservative estimate and make sure that we don't have any significant impacts. But that's a little bit closer to what we are anticipating. We'll also be offering career fairs, training. We do that quite often with our projects. We implement programs such as Helmets to Hard Hats, where AES trains veterans to work from the armed forces for construction careers with local unions like IBEW. Economic benefits. So during construction, the project will create over $2 million in local wages. Over the 35-year life of the project, we anticipate $40 million in labor income will be generated. An estimated $5 million in sales tax from purchase will result from the purchase of batteries, solar panels, inverters, construction equipment, things like that. And then the environmental benefits, this is always a fun one. We anticipate 500,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year will be offset by the project. That's the equivalent of about 60,000 homes and the carbon dioxide that they would be emitting from those if we didn't have the offset. And lastly, the project will improve the statewide grid reliability with clean energy supplied, combined with the energy storage, lessening the need for dependence on fossil fuel. And last slide here, just wanted to touch on a couple of community safety concerns that came up during public outreach. This by means is not an exhaustive list of all of the safety concerns. We do have mitigation measures in place, best management practices to really address a lot of these. These are just some highlights I wanted to bring up to the commission tonight. The project will be fenced and monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to prevent any vandalism and crime. The pole-mounted panels require little to no grading. The site is extremely flat. So dust is minimized, and that will reduce the risk of valley fever exposure. Through our door-to-door campaign with the community, we really realized that valley fever was a huge concern. There are a lot of residents in that area that do have some breathing problems, so we want to make sure that we are implementing as much as we can to help them. Furthermore, worker training will require the use of state and industry best management practices, as we've talked about, for managing dust, but also erosion control, or erosion and flood control, as well as fire safety. And then last but not least, we do have COVID-19 protocols in place to help prevent infection and spread, not only within our work crews on our project sites, but also to the surrounding community as well. So we take that extremely seriously, and that has been worked into our procedures. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm
Yep.
sure we will have questions, so stay close.
Okay.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to make a comment on this item? Please state your name for the record.
Hi, Lisa Checkley Sanchez of the RMAC. So I'm here today just to speak to you guys real quick. Bill Parkman could not be here. He's our chair. He is ill. So he gave me a little something to say to you guys to let you know. So it's evident that AES is doing their job with trying to keep our community happy, which we really do appreciate. We do appreciate them pulling Site 6 tremendously. The community is very ecstatic about that. Our main concern would be holiday, which they're trying to take off we would like it to go all the way to 90th. We have, Rosamond deals with, I don't know if you guys know the area well, Rosamond freeways and roads deal with Edwards Air Force Base. So 2 times a day, we have 50,000 cars traveling through Rosamond. Now we're going to add an additional 800 employees, they said in the beginning, but I think you said 200. So 800 and 200 employees, that's a big difference. So I don't know if the EIR is wrong or if you're wrong. I'm not sure. So anyways, we would like for Holiday to stay because that's more ways into Rosamond for them to go. Another problem that we have is we have no hotel in Rosamond. We have nowhere for these people to stay. But the biggest problem is we would like nothing to come east of 90th. We have nowhere to grow. The only way to grow is west. We can't grow towards Avenue A because that's Lancaster. We can't go towards Bacchus, that's Mojave. We can't go east, that's Edwards Air Force Base. The only direction we have to grow is west. And homes are all the way out there already. So we're just asking that you guys would take into consideration to keep anything that wants to come in east of 90th. Because we have a raceway right there. Willow Springs is right there, and I race out there myself. So I'm kind of worried about the light reflection, and I understand they'll go the other way, but just lots of questions and concerns. And I would just like to you guys to take all that into consideration. Okay?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I'm seeing no other public comments. No one else is in the public. So we'll close the public comment period, bring it back to the board. Can we clarify the 800, 200 employees real quick?
We can. The study that was provided for the environmental impact report was a gross overestimate. It may have been of the original raceway project. I will ask Dallas to help me clarify why it went from 800 to 200.
Great, thank you.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we used the original estimate in the EIR, but we just ran a recent calculation this time, and the number came out much smaller.
And is that 200 year-round, and that's not construction, correct? That's just 200 year-round?
That is construction.
Oh, that is.
Yeah. So when the operations and maintenance period starts, we're looking at no on-site personnel. Rather, it would probably be about 2 to 4 people about 10 times a year at most to go do any kind of a maintenance activities throughout the year.
And you're looking at construction being about a year?
About a year.
Okay.
Yep. Conservatively, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, commissioners. Any questions or concerns?
Yes, Madam Chair, just a quick question, going back to the applicant as well. Number one, I would like to say that reviewing the EIR, the amount of mitigation that's been put in this project to accommodate the concerns, I recommend this effort done by staff and the applicant in this EIR to be wise of the community. That's always appreciated. That's something we'd like to see here. And just to address the comments made here by Lisa regarding some of the concerns there, can you help clarify the question that came up about Holiday Street and why that would be removed and what the purpose of that is versus keeping that street there?
Correct, yes. So from an engineering perspective, just to maintain the electrical connections through the sites there, we do have to vacate Holiday Avenue and those specific sites. And that's just an engineering design, so we don't compromise the electrical connectivity.
So basically design-based, nothing to do with traffic flow or trying to mitigate traffic coming in the area, just the way for the functionality of the system to work correctly?
Correct, yes. We do leave areas like Gaskell Avenue wide open, I believe 80th Street or 85th, whatever the street is on the far eastern edge of the project, just to maintain those northwest and east-west major connections to 90th Street.
And if I may, commissioners, the portions of Holiday Avenue that they're requesting to remove as a road reservation within the Willow Springs specific plan is only those portions that are within the project area. So those would not be able to be utilized once the project is built.
Can you throw the map up again for us, showing the area?
We can, and I can ask staff to actually pull the map from the staff report that shows the actual road reservations that are being requested to be deleted.
Madam Chair, I have one more question to staff. Just a clarification question on why you're looking that up. I did hear the mention that the notice that was sent out, there was a little bit of a modification of the notice and what was heard here tonight. Does that cause any type of issue or concern at all since the notice was different than what we covered tonight? Just want to get that clarification.
I don't believe that it will because we read into the record the actual cases that are being considered tonight, and the recommendation is as recommended by staff other than as requested.
Other request? Okay, just wanted that clarification. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like we have on screen the map that shows the proposed removal of future dedicated roads.
So as you can see there, the lines that are the black and white checkered are the only areas that the applicant is requesting to be removed from as a designation on the Willow Springs specific plan circulation element. And those are areas that will be covered by project facilities.
In the EIR, did it find any significant traffic impacts due to the work hours from the base? Did it mention that in the EIR?
I don't recall specifically what it said with regards to the base, but there were no significant traffic impacts.
Okay. So it looks like, just to clarify, the main roads for travel would then be Rosamond Boulevard, Gaskell Road, correct? And then at the very southern end, Avenue A.
Correct. Yeah, and we're leaving Astoria Avenue in place as well.
And so to address that concern that was brought up, the vacation of the streets is going to be within the project boundaries, which in a sense would not be open to the public as is anyhow since it's a private development. Correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
correct.
Thank you, staff. Any other commissioner questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I had a question.
Of course.
The applicant, I just wanted to see the map and then where the tie-ins would be to the grid relative on the map, just to see how that would look.
Yeah.
We are putting that map up, and as Mr. Pugh previously stated, they are going with the option where they go south down to Avenue A, and then, was it 80th Street from there, down into Lancaster?
It goes down to 110th Street West.
110th Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it jogs over west on West Avenue B for a little bit, maybe about a mile, and then it goes south along 110th.
And that's where your PPA is dedicated?
Correct, yeah. There's an existing substation in the city of Lancaster, the Big Sky sub, Big Sky North, I'm sorry, and we'll be connecting there.
Is there any other impact on the community from that construction of that tie?
No, we've worked with Antelope Acres specifically down in LA County on 3 different options for the Gentie early on in the project design. I think there was one down 80th, one down 100th, and one option down 110th. The request was to move it as far away from the residences as possible, so we chose 110th Street, which is also currently impacted by an overhead line all the way down anyway. So we figured that would be the least environmentally impactful option.
And would the majority of the tie-in, the Gentie, would that be underground or would you be using overhead?
We will be using overhead. We've we're currently working with LA County Department of Public Works on an overhead variance, understanding that their Antelope Valley General Plan does require utilities underground.
Yeah.
And we're pretty close to getting that approval, I'd say within the next couple weeks. But we've had engineering design reports submitted to DPW showing the infeasibility of an underground line within the public right-of-way.
So if that variance was not given, would this project then not be able to be constructed, or how would that happen if you did not get that variance?
We would need to kind of revisit the financial model to see if an underground line would still be financially feasible with development of the project.
So that variance, this project, I should say, is contingent upon that variance as well, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I know you touched on it quite a bit during your presentation, and I have no doubt that AES will be a good neighbor, but can you kind of give a big overview from this very beginning of the project? You've done a lot of community service projects, but what have you done as far as specific engagement and changes related to kind of what Lisa mentioned and some of the residents in the area?
Sure.
Give kind of a quick overview.
Yeah, so in 2018, the NOP was released for that original project footprint that included the 400 megawatt size site. And valid concerns were brought up by the community, especially the residents that were surrounded by solar on all sides. We were asked to go back to the community and really ask what the concerns are and what they would like to see in the project design. In 2019, we had a few teams go out and knock door to door on those residences that are around the project site to really understand what it is that they would like to see in the project. Also, we asked, what community benefits would you like to see? We do a lot of community donations and contributions, and we wanted to see what would be the best and what they would like to see in order for us to become a good neighbor. We took all of those notes back, sat down with Lorelei and staff, and really tried to trim back as much as we could from those areas that really stood out as problematic. So once we trimmed it back, we did the environmental analysis and then found that there were environmental biological resources in some of these areas as well. So we further trimmed it back. So we're not only addressing the community's concerns, but making sure that we're being a good neighbor in terms of maintaining the ecological value and functionality of the area too.
I live in a rural area, so I know how difficult it is to sometimes change the environment around you, and I know how difficult it is to put forward a project like this. So I appreciate the efforts of the company, and reading through the concerns of the residents, it was definitely concerning to see quite a few oppose the project. But the three main topics, valley fever, water, and land value, that I noticed and mentioned numerous times in some of the comments were addressed clearly by staff, so I appreciate that. If there's no other comments or questions?
Madam Chair, I do just have one general question or can-be statement. With this, the 200 employees and the 12 months of construction, do you guys try to do anything to employ local or try bringing local contractors in, or is everything outsourced from out of the area?
We do use local unions for most of the construction, but we do offer training programs to the community and how they can join those unions as well, get them trained up.
Commissioners, I'd like to add, we also have a mitigation measure that requires a certain percentage of local workforce to be utilized.
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. And as I mentioned earlier, I could see the fact that, the amount of mitigation measures put on this project and the requirement to enforce the mitigation measures is hefty, and which is needed in a project this size. So with that, though, I do commend you guys for pulling back, looking at how this impacts the community and minimizing the overall size and looking at it, going from, I think it was 400 megawatts plus or minus down to 270. I mean, it's almost half the original project. So sometimes that's difficult to do, especially when dollars are invested. So I commend you guys for that. And again, I commend staff working diligently with AES to make sure this project meets all the guidelines as best as possible for environmental impact. So with that, you guys have our support, my support on this project. And if there are no other comments, we could make a motion.
Make motion to approve as presented by staff.
We have a motion by Commissioner McGiffney.
I would second that motion. I just do have one clarification on that staff. Do we have to, read into it, do we have to notify the addendum in that motion, or is that enough?
You can just identify the addendum and what was read into the record by Ms. Slayton.
Commissioner McAfee, you want to do that, or is that okay then?
Yes, you're fine. Sorry.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We will vote on screen.
3 ayes, 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no appeal. This is going to the Board of Supervisors for final approval. This brings us to adjournment. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for July 22nd, 2021. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I will second that.
All ayes?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
everybody. Thank you again.
also absorb CO2, but the amounts of CO2 taken up at different locations on Earth's surface are not well understood.